Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Sorry, I couldn't get in.
Yeah, sorry, I was
Oh, it's
finishing up a meeting and I was watching the um uh waiting room build up, but I was trying to end it with her before I brought you guys in. Sorry about that.
it's okay.
All right. Let's wait for everyone to come on in, and I'm gonna send a link to one or two people and then we'll get going.
Okay.
Um, okay. If you have not reported your numbers, um, please check the announcements page. And I copied the link there. So if you could do that very quickly, that would be super, super helpful. So we've had 3 reporting periods so far in April, April 1st through 8th, 9th through 15th, and 16th through 22nd. So we're on the 3rd week now, and I am expected to report all of my numbers all the time. So please, 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 just report your numbers, okay?
I,
What's that?
I said I did it already.
Yes, you're one of my star students.
Oh,
So
I
have
don't,
I.
Interesting how the people that report their numbers are on the call. Isn't that kind of strange? What'd you think about Carrie and the other rookie of the years? Did you guys hear that stuff?
was that today?
Yes.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, that was
I
today.
didn't either. I was on the phone helping somebody with CMA and appraisal issue.
Thank you, Pam. It's always much appreciated. There's some good stuff on there. I wasn't there the entire time. Buyers. Okay, dark. All right, cool. Talk to me, guys. What are we seeing out there? Are we are buyers and sellers scared? Talk to me about what you're experiencing. I got a handful of ideas to talk about today, but I want to hear kind of what are you finding?
I just talked to a client of mine that she bought a foreclosure in 2008, a condo in Atlanta. And so she's thinking that it's going to be like 2008. And so she texted me and said, hey, could I start looking for foreclosures for her?
Mm-hmm.
So I called her and I told her why, it's a little bit different than it was back then. But I did get all the information of she has like between 250 and 300,000 to in cash to buy a home for her daughter, and she's moving back here in August. So she wants me to start looking for something in the Alpharetta area. Her daughter's getting married, so I just got off the phone with her.
Awesome. So a couple of thoughts that pop into my mind on that. So hang on one second. I'm trying to get one more person in. Okay, a couple thoughts that popped up on that. Isn't that awesome? I mean, somebody reached out to you. They know that you're in real estate. They have experience working with agents. They can identify opportunity, and all you got to do is relay some professional advice to them, and boom, you might have a piece of business. So this woman's got $250,000, $300,000 in cash. Maybe she doesn't need to use all of the cash to buy the home for her daughter, right? So this is when we get to play financial advisor a little bit and ask some deep questions, right? Is there something that's uniquely important to you about buying this house for your daughter with cash? Or would you consider putting down a smaller amount of money, having a small mortgage for your daughter, and then using the rest of the money to buy another investment property when blood's on the streets? Is that something you would consider? Right? And I'm not, it's all the same from a commission standpoint. It's actually probably doubling your work. The the takeaway here is you want to show that you're not just a real estate salesperson, that there's more to this job than just that. It's asking questions about what their financial goals are, why things are important to them, offering different opportunities, right? Pam, I'm gonna give you a little bit more information about this later, but I don't know if you remember Jackie Kent and David Freed. Remember them? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can. I just had muted myself. It took me a minute to get my cursor over to unmute. Off the top of my head, I don't.
David's got that little rental house in Smyrna. The last time we put somebody in there, it was like worth probably about $120,000. Now it's probably worth $225,000.
Oh, okay.
So he's made a freaking fortune on this house. Okay. However, he's renting it for $1,300 a month.
Is it the same renter that's been in there this whole time?
I think we've placed 2 renters in there, but this last one's been there for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've helped him and his wife rent a couple times, buy twice, sell twice. I mean, these are some great clients, right? He just refinanced a couple of months ago and he's only making like $100 a month. And if you do the math, he's got about $140,000 of equity. So I don't care what his goals are. That's a freaking horrible way to have that money. It's not working. Why in the world would you take $140,000 of equity and dump it into an investment where you're making $1,500 a month? Or I'm sorry, $1,500 a year. That's a horrible return. So you either need to refinance again or sell that thing. It's time to move on. You need that access to that equity. You see what I'm saying? So he called me and says, hey, let's rent it again. And I said, all right, cool. Let's talk about the pros and cons of renting. Let's talk about the pros and cons of selling. So I'm not just taking his order and saying, okay, sign will be out tomorrow. I'm saying, all right, let's talk through this. Let's have an adult, professional, consultative discussion about what makes the most sense for you and your family. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Good job. What else are you guys seeing out there? If you have not, I know we have a couple more people that just hopped on. Please take a moment and update your numbers. Okay. While I got you on the phone, I'm going to share something with you or on the phone. Well, I've got you here. I'm going to share something with you real fast. Which is, I'm on a Zoom call. Can we have lunch? Who wants to come over and be an extra set of hands today? I want to show you guys something. With 2 weeks and just a handful of people reporting for the 3rd week, we've already spent more time generating leads in April than we have in March. We've already logged more command hours. We're getting closer and closer to our contacts and our database ads. We've already eclipsed our appointments set and our appointments held and our listing appointments held. We're a little short on listings taken. Contracts pending is up. Contracts written is the same in 2 weeks this month as it was all last month. So keep up the good work, okay, guys? Remember we talked a little bit about we are essentially the largest team in the office. And I get the pleasure of leading you guys. And so part of my job as the leader is to help you understand where we are according to our goals, just like you ought to be. So because I encourage you guys to do a 4 conversations, this is ours, okay? This will probably be the last month we have these goals because they're gonna be pushed up. But right now, after just about 2 weeks, we're at 12 listing appointments when the goal is 13. 8 listings taken when the goal is 10. We got to push the closed units, but we're getting some good pendings, so we're all good there, I think. And there's a number of people that haven't updated their numbers. So keep up the good work, you guys. That's my job, is to help make sure that you are. Can you add to the list? Okay, gotcha. Make sure you're doing the daily activities that you need to do. A little bit more housekeeping. I added the 15th of the month protocol to the Google Drive yesterday. So you should have access to that. I know at your first read, you look at that and you say, oh my gosh, he wants me to call 100 people until I'm caught up on my goal. Only if your goal's really meaningful to you, right? I know that sounds strong, but these are your goals. So whatever they mean to you, if you're behind, we got to come up with a different strategy, right? If we're losing, we need a winning strategy so that you can go out there and win. Does that make sense? Okay, keep talking to me. What are you encountering out there? Give me some things to celebrate. Who had some stuff happen that's celebration worthy? You got a whole room of people here that wants to cheer you on.
Well, Bill, mine's not that, but I do have a sold listed in the spreadsheet, but it does. I don't know if it's coming down in your totals because the GCI earned on it is not what's in your totals. So there may be another sold. Just check your calculations on those 2 areas.
Which month is that for, or which week is that for?
The closing was on the 10th, so the 9th through the 15th.
That actually, let me double check. That should be in the totals.
Well, the GCI total that is there is over 9,000. So either the number sold is wrong, it's not adding up correctly, or your GCI earned is not adding up correctly.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So
yeah, just make a note to check on it later,
Oh, I see what's happening. Yes. So this particular person did not put a 1 next to their unit sold, even though they claimed a commission.
Okay.
Now we're fixed. All right, team. 11.1% to our closed unit goals. Good job. Thank you, Pam. All right. Who else got some stuff to celebrate? Boy, we got a quiet audience today. Very quiet audience. All right, hang on. Okay, what is the most important thing we can cover today? Everyone, tell me one by one. I didn't call you up, actually.
You said there is something.
No, I said I'm on a Zoom call.
No, Daddy, but...
Say hi to everyone, and then I'll come.
Hello.
It's okay.
It doesn't make any sense. And I'm hungry. It's been like an hour.
Why don't you,
I'm hungry.
get a little cereal, and I'll come and find you in a few minutes, okay?
Cereal's breakfast, not lunch. I don't want to make eggs again.
What do you want? Popcorn?
That is not lunch.
Hey, seriously, I'm in the middle of work right now.
What can I have?
Whatever you want. Just not in here. Not in here.
Wait, I have another thing.
What?
I forgot to dust your glasses.
Miriam Sina. I'm at work. I'm at work right now.
Dusty.
I'm at work.
It looks good.
I'll come and find you in a minute.
Sprinkle pancakes.
We can do that a little bit later.
You need flour.
Cereal's not lunch, but pancakes are?
Yep.
That's a great question, Pam. Okay. Everyone needs to be able to focus here, okay? Please.
Oh, this is from yesterday. That's gross.
All right. I appreciate everyone being flexible. We'll be back at the office soon. Okay. We're going to go around the room right now, and you're going to tell me what the most important thing we can cover that you feel is the biggest gap right now for you, and then let's see what kind of results we get. Stephanie, you're first.
So I'm a little confused. I was on Chartmasters, and it looks like they do a monthly update, but the last month was February. Do you know, is that something that comes out every month? Or I know there's every quarter, but then there was also the monthly.
Yeah, I believe that I believe, Pam, you might be able to correct me on this, but I think that they've been putting out a weekly update ever since this COVID thing started.
I have not seen it. I know Aubrey has it.
So
Okay,
where do
I
we
have
get
it
it?
too. Can you?
I'll go poke around, but I have not seen the email. I have not seen the email from Melody about March. I don't think.
Can you poke Lucy and just ask her? Well, you guys don't have her cell. I'll poke Lucy and ask her to make comments about it, or give.
It's not updated on the
internet
document.
Yeah.
So I was trying to fool with Chartmasters yesterday, and I just couldn't find the information.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the MMO, the monthly report is good to see trends, but you get into more micro detail on the quarterly report because you do everything by area and stuff like that.
Okay. It's just the quarter ended in December, right?
I know. They're about to, they should be. Do we have a date as to when they're going to do Chartmasters?
I don't, it's probably not going to be in a public setting for,
well, I know, but
at least a few more weeks.
Virtually. Zoom it.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I just reached Lucy on her cell, so hopefully we'll have some information to digest a little bit.
Well, I see on other people's Facebook from other companies, they keep putting information out there, and I don't know where they get it.
Chartmasters is a private organization that works exclusively with Keller Williams, so that doesn't necessarily stop anyone from coming up with their own calculations. They say
based on the MLS,
right? Like you can pretty much make a statistic say whatever you want. That's the difference between median and average, right? You claim your median sales price, list price ratio, or your average, whichever one you might want to highlight, right?
Okay.
Okay, so Chartmasters, we have that on the list. Who's next? Heather.
She has her mouth full.
Sue Joy. Sue Joy.
Hi, Bill.
Yes. Yes. What is the most important thing that we can help you with right now?
Yeah, I mean, the topic that we discussed yesterday about the value. Yeah, it's hard for me to find a comparable because everything else around is old or older, and the other end of it is the newest homes. It's very hard for me to get a proper pricing, and that's why I thought I would take your help. But
yeah, so I can help you a little bit with that. What I would try to do is, if it was me, I'd probably go that 750 to 950 neighborhood, and I would look within, let's say, 3 miles of that home. You'll probably catch some stuff in East Cobb. You'll probably catch some stuff in Roswell, and look to see what is new. I mean, the fact of the matter is, a new home, it may not be a quote comparable. The fact of the matter is,
that is my problem.
Here's the thing: I would not cross county lines.
Oh, okay.
If you go to, if you attend the class
Be right
tomorrow
back.
with if you attend the class tomorrow with DS Murphy, what they will tell you is think of your search area as a target, where the bullseye is just that neighborhood, the same neighborhood as your target, as your subject property. The next circle out is your elementary school. Your next circle out is your middle school, and the next is your high school. And use whichever one gives you enough data to make something comparable. So say a house was built in 2018 or something, you don't have that many comparables. I would go, while they usually tell you to use 10 years, I would go down to even 2000 on that, because it's a similar style home. That's when the open floor plans, the open floor plans became popular in the late 90s. And also you'd still kind of have open floor plans and other similar characteristics.
Okay.
So
I like the idea of staying in the school district.
Yeah, well, people search on school districts. They they want to be in specific school districts. That makes a difference. They may, someone who's interested in living in Cobb might be interested in that because, property taxes are lower, although they're not as much lower as they used to be. But they said they don't ever cross county boundaries.
Oh, I see.
I agree with that. I was just saying to do an analysis basically that if somebody's going to consider buying that home, what other properties might they be interested in? Like they may not care if they live in that neighborhood, or you're real close to the Cobb border, right? So somebody might say, oh, well, my kids are out of school. I don't really care about school districts so much. If I'm, down Johnson's Ferry by a mile, no big deal, right? So it may not be a quote comp, but it is available and it's an option. And so I would just have an awareness about that. So for example, if you say that home, let's say, is worth $850, yet there's homes that are larger, half a mile down the road in Cobb County available with just as impressive finishes for $750, well, that's probably not the right price. You see what I'm saying? So you got to take into you got to be aware of the larger market. So if you can find a community that was built around the same time, around the same size, around the same area, then yeah, those are going to be better comps. But if it was me and I owned an $800,000, $900,000 home, I'd just pay for an appraisal, honestly. Pre-listing appraisal, I'd see what they say.
Yeah,
and that also
especially
goes
in
for
these times.
If that person was a seller, I'd say, look, this is what I believe, but it's a kind of a crazy market right now. And I'm willing to pay for the appraisal just to make sure that we get it right. And we have one more set of eyes on this because there's a lot of money at stake and most of it's yours.
I have to say, I'd probably be willing to pay for it at closing.
That's what I mean. I'll pay for
where
it.
the client pays for it up front and you reimburse them at closing. That way, if they don't decide to list with you, you haven't just given them a free appraisal.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I should have insinuated that, but yes, I agree. Everything Pam says, I pretty much agree with, if you guys haven't figured it out. She sets the record straight most of the time.
Well, she's knowledgeable.
What's that?
Thank you, Pam. She's knowledgeable.
Yep, she very much is. Okay.
And how much are appraisals again? I can't remember. What is kind of an average price?
Well, a pre-listing is $450 from DS Murphy.
Right. It may be a little bit big. I don't know if they have a cutoff for pricing, but if you're up near that $1 million area and you got more land, or it's more unusual or something like that, they may charge a hair more.
Okay. Thank you. But around 500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Kim, talk to me about your biggest need.
We can't hear you. You need to put your...
Sorry, my printer's going to. Stephanie and I were practicing yesterday, and we were both talking about the Vulcan 7, and we just were like lost in it. So if we could just have some kind of little class on it, maybe on how to use it, how it works, that would be very helpful.
Okay, I will think about how I can make that work. I actually don't know the product that well either myself.
Oh, okay.
So I'd have to go and watch all the tutorials and videos and stuff myself.
Oh, we could do that. It's fine. I thought you were like king of Vulcan 7 or something. It's fine.
No. I mean, I've done plenty of research to determine that Vulcan 7 was the best service provider for that type of data.
Yeah.
But as far as manipulating the system and extracting data from it and all that, I don't know how to set that up.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah,
So-
it doesn't seem very user friendly. I've looked at it, but I don't know what I'm doing. So
you could also go to like YouTube and type in Vulcan 7.
Okay.
There's probably also a Vulcan 7 like Facebook group where you can get some best practices and people that are having some some serious success on it. It's data, right? So once you can extract the data, the rest is you can pop it into a dialer or something like that, or just go line by line. Pam, what about you?
Well, I'm right now I'm working on learning DocuSign in Command.
Okay.
And I'm going to venture a guess here that you're not that familiar with it, since we haven't had to use it yet.
No, and if I can be, you probably know this, but I actually don't have much of an interest in learning it.
I know that. Yes, I know that.
Right.
I've worked with you long enough. I know. Like, when he has something he needs to use it. Okay, Pam, how do I use this?
Right.
No,
I think
I'm working on learning it.
Yeah, there's some videos from Sam. There's some like on Aubrey's message every day. There's like a couple of tutorial links.
Well, the one issue I've had with it, Sam, was I've been on 2 videos with him and he was not aware of how to do it yet either. And that's using the idea of using like templates with it.
So my natural tendency is to wait until it's super easy, and then I'll just drag files from .loop into DocuSign if I need to. But what I want to, this goes for everybody, is don't get so caught up in the newest thing that you forget that your main job is meeting people and transacting sales. Right? And pay somebody else to figure that crap out. You see what I'm saying? I know we're launching our businesses here, but I'd rather you go get a contract and then need to get it into the appropriate compliance place and deal with it then, than spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure out compliance of a contract you don't even have yet. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, because no matter how much you try to work on it, when you have one, you'll be questioning things. And
you'll figure it out. You'll call somebody and says, who's done a DocuSign thing in the last 3 days, because something's probably changed, that can help me with it right now. And then you'll get a handful of people that are ready to help you. So I'd spend 100% of my mental energy on finding business. Right. Heather, how about you?
Like I said this morning, I'm making that spreadsheet of like all the different things to do for the onboarding. And I'm just trying to like figure out what are the big rocks, what are the little rocks, because when you're first starting, you don't know what is which or which, to be perfectly honest. And so before, I feel like I was just having all the rain coming down on me, and I was seeing what bounced off, what stuck, and like trying to gather it all. But like because it was raining, like it wasn't going to a bucket or like something to filter through. It was just all over the place.
Right.
So having that coming at you, I'm a systems person, and I like going through stuff, and I like knowing that I have that solid foundation. So I'm trying to maintain that balance of not getting so involved in being busy with busy work, but making sure that the busy work I'm doing has purpose. And it was last night, I just like, instead of trying to do everything, I realized I was getting all this stuff from all over the place. And I just started that spreadsheet, and I'm trying to, that's looking at that spreadsheet that I'm making is helping me determine which are the big rocks and which are the little rocks.
Okay. So you'll probably have a different answer to that question tomorrow, and we can help you with that, your new big rock tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, Martha, what are you finding that you need the most help on right now? Can you hear me?
I don't know. She said she typed in chat that she was on a call right now, but that was a little while ago, so I don't know if she's still on.
It looks like she said she's off. What about okay, I think we covered everybody. We are going to have a launch. It's the launch mastermind that's at 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can cover some of the topics then. Since we have a small group, I just want to take a minute to make sure that we all have a very solid idea of what our daily actions are. Does everyone have a 135 and a 411 in place right now?
No.
Okay.
So that's a big rock.
That's a big rock.
Okay.
Okay. So just so you know, we are, next. Where is this? One sec. So next week on the 28th, I'm going to be running a class on that, on the 135 and creating that daily plan. Okay. So let's start with the thing that comes right before the 135, which is the economic model. Do we know what our appointment goal is based on our financial goal? How are we on that? That class, by the way, is going to be the 28th from 1:30 to 3 o'clock. Okay. I'm sorry.
Which class?
My bad. It's going to be from 12:30 to 12:30 to 2 o'clock. Next Tuesday, the 28th, is going to be a class on the 135. I'm going to teach that for everybody, not just PC people.
Okay.
Okay. That's going to be what we call the accelerator class that week. All right. What about the economic model? Have you guys gone through and typed in your income and played around with that Excel spreadsheet?
I have.
Okay. What about the rest of you?
And that's in the Google Docs as well?
Yep.
Okay. One thing that I'm doing and like making this priorities is going through Google Docs, opening everything, because I've been getting so much stuff from email that I hadn't gone into the Google Docs yet. And so now I feel like I hadn't, like, not having the guidance of do this first, this first, this first, this step. There was no like outline of how to do the steps or what order, like what's more important than others. I was feeling like I was trying to do a little of everything instead of just getting stuff done because I didn't know where to go first. And so
this is going to be critical. This is one of the very first things we should do. So have you ever seen, let me share my screen with you on this. Have you ever seen this printout? Yeah. Have you ever seen this?
Not that I recall. Not saying I didn't, but not that I recall.
Okay, so
you did show us. You did show it in one meeting.
Okay.
All right. So this is basically I just got off the phone with a consultation with a woman who wants to do 12 units this year. Okay. So let me just show you kind of how this works. And this set of calculations is in the Google Drive. Okay.
Okay.
This person wants to do 12 units a year. Okay. She says she wants to be at a $450 sales price average for sellers and $400 average sales price for buyers. 65% of her business would be from sellers, 35% would be from buyers. And she's going to have an average of 3.0% commission on both sides. If she were to do that, she would make $155,700 gross from the year. So now the items that have, this is a version of I'll go ahead and put this in here, but there's a couple of tabs that have some gray on it. It's just some stuff that I'm still kind of working through that's a little messy right now. But basically, I'll turn this to gray too because it's still a little sloppy. But the lion's share of what I am hoping to accomplish is done. Okay. What we want to do here is show you how, whatever your goals are, what is the daily activities you got to do that are the big rocks. Okay. So there's a few items here in yellow. This is the conversion rate from appointment to listing on the buyer and seller side. And I'm going to make adjustments. She's a pretty experienced agent, so she had some of these a little on the high side, in my opinion. But I'm going to take them down to what I think is a little bit more conservative. Okay, so 65% of her business is going to come from sellers. 75% of the time that she sits down with a seller appointment, she's going to take the listing. 75% of the time she sits down with a ready, willing, and able buyer at a buyer consultation, she's going to take the buyer listing, right? Then there's going to be some fallout. On the seller side, the percentage of listings that she takes to those that go under contract, 75%. That's probably a little low, but I think let's keep it that way. And percentage of listings that go under contract that ultimately close, another 75%. So every time you take a listing, only 56% of the time is that deal going to close. Okay. That's the idea here. Same thing on the buyer side. So if she is going to close these 12 units, let's call it 8 of them are going to be on the seller side and 4 of them are going to be on the buyer side. She's going to need to go on 18 listing appointments over the course of the year, really 19 if you round up, right? So she's going to go on 19 appointments and take 14 of them. Then she's going to sell 8 of them. Does that make sense? Whole year. Then she's going to go on 10 buyer appointments. She's going to take 8 of them, and she's going to sell between 4 and 5 of them. Make sense? So if I were to go to you and say, Stephanie, all you got to do is go on 19 seller and 10 buyer appointments, 29 appointments, that's a little over 2 per month, and you're going to get paid $155,000 a year, you'd be like, sign me up.
Yes.
So that's all this business is increasing the number of people that you meet with so that you can take more listings, so you can close more deals and get paid more and have a bigger impact on the community. Make sense? Mm-hmm. And the way that you increase either decrease the amount of work you need to do, decrease the amount of appointments you need to go on, or increase your income is simply by adjusting the sales prices and the conversion rates, right? So if all of a sudden I can move this up to, let's say 90% and 90% because I'm really good with the buyers, now I don't have to go on 10 anymore, I can go on 7. See how that works?
So like in a situation where you have no experience and you don't know how to estimate like what your conversion rate's going to be, what do you suggest putting it at?
I would suggest 75% because you're going to ask the prospective buyers and sellers enough questions to know if they're crazy or not, right? And the truth of the matter is they're all crazy. It's just a matter of how much crazy you're willing to tolerate, right? So for example, if I was having a conversation with Stephanie and we were discussing the property that she owns, what do we know about that property? we know that it's probably worth somewhere between 270 and 290 or 285, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? If I'm asking her questions about her goals and her timeframes and her motivations and all of that, and she keeps talking about how that property is going to sell for 350 and she's not able to take anything less than 350, then I'm probably, I might go on the appointment just to build a relationship, but I'm not going to count it because it's not going to work. Like, that's not going to turn into a successful sale, right? So I'm going to monitor where I spend my time, right? So when I determine that, I say, okay, here's how the buyer process works, and I walk them through the steps, and I hit the high points. Here's how the seller process works, and I walk them through the steps and hit the high points. When they're like, all right, great, let's meet, right? If you ask the right questions and you can handle objections and you have the right scripts and you've practiced your presentation, even if you're not quote unquote experienced, you should be able to secure more listings than you think. Because the truth of the matter is 70% of consumers only interview one person anyway. Okay. So you're not going to be going against Mark Spain every time. Okay.
I don't know who that is, but okay.
He's the top realtor in the city.
Okay.
At least now. He was 2 months ago. We'll see what happens. He just laid off his entire staff, including some people I'm courting.
Oh, did he?
Not his entire staff, but a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, I think are they salary or they're paid? Yeah.
There's some of each.
Yeah.
Some of
Okay.
each. But
Bill,
nobody's buying any properties. Nobody's doing iBuying anymore.
Can I ask you a question about the this economic model?
Yeah.
You sent it out on the 12th, right? So when we go in here to change the numbers,
I would pull it out of Google Drive.
Yes.
And
yes,
then save it, and then all the calculations will be accurate, and then you can tweak it according to your thing.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I should have said that. Yeah, pull it out or download the file from Google Drive to your personal computer, and then mess around with it. Okay. I'll go ahead and upload this one called MREA2 business models. So this person, then I want to go to the next tab real fast. In bold, we do this thing called listings needed, or listings you must carry. This is a summary of basically the economic model. And then remember what's in yellow is what you can adjust. So I went into Chartmasters from a couple months ago, and at large, in all price ranges in all metro Atlanta areas, the days on the market's 39. So this person, in order to hit their financial goals, is going to need to carry 2 listings at all times. The second they sell a home, they better go get another one. Okay. And in order to hit their goals, based on these series of how do we get here and a bunch of math that you guys can read, they need to have 13 contacts a day. So if they have 13 contacts a day, they'll book all the appropriate appointments, and then they'll hit their goals. The next part of this, focus in the purple when you upload it. This is MREA2. So this is an exercise to determine how many months are you trying to hit this goal in, right? The first goal is how many people are you trying to add to your database, right? So this person wanted to add 500 people to their database. They currently had 102 in their database, right? We had a ramp up period where they were going to add, this is not so relevant here because their goal, they were pretty close to their database size. It says they only need to add 18 people right away. But then they want to add 482 others, which requires them adding 20 people to their database every week, so that they'll add 500 throughout the whole year. So my point of this, this is very detailed right now, but I want you to see that it's all a system. All it is you tell me what your goals are, we put it into the formula, and it spits out, how do we know we're on track, right? So trying to see if I can give you an idea of some good, oh, here we go. I sat with somebody yesterday, or 2 days ago maybe, and we went through her model just like this, and we determined that if she does the following things every day, she will hit her goals. Okay, she needs 3 listing appointments a month, 5 buyer appointments a month. This is based on her income goals, her average price range, her average commission, her average conversion rates, all that. She needs 3 listing appointments a month, 5 buyer appointments a month. She needs 400 contacts a month, which equates in her world to 20 a day. Okay, and she always needs to have 2 listings. So if she does that stuff, she's on track. You got no problem. Okay, so let's break it down even more. She needs to set 1 listing appointment a week and 2 buyer appointments a week and contact 20 people a day. That is what work is for her. Okay, set 1 listing appointment a week, set 2 buyer appointments a week, 20 contacts a day. Nice and easy. So every day you get to work and you look right at that goal. My big priorities are to set an appointment for a seller this week and to set 2 of them for buyers this week. So everything that I do today needs to be around making the appropriate amount of contacts so that happens. And then at any time I can ask you, hey, how's your business? And you're like, I'm 18% over goal, or I'm 14.5% below goal, right? Treat it like a business. I know some of us don't want to focus on the numbers too much. The more you focus on the numbers and you know where you're at, the better you'll do. It's that simple. You don't have to create this stuff. It's already created, right? So I know if we go back to our numbers here, I know what my goal is for the group. I'm asking you guys to report on all your numbers, so I know how are we doing. Okay, right? We're real close to our listing appointment goal, right? We are, a little behind. So even if we get this listing appointment and take the listing, we're not doing quite as well on the conversion as I think we should. So what does that mean? Maybe we need to focus on the listing appointments, or pre-qualifying the sellers more, or getting better at objection handlers, or being better at creating urgency, right? So as we track our numbers and we see where our shortfalls are, then we know exactly what topics to discuss. So the person that I'm talking about, she basically said, hey, when I sit in front of a buyer and getting them to sign the paperwork, that is the biggest struggle I have, right? And her percentage was down near 50% when it should be, probably at her experience level, it should be closer to 80–90%. So if we can figure that out, then she's going to either make more money or not have to do as much work, right? But we'll never understand that unless we track the numbers, right? And that's when you know you're really running a business. And then as your leader, I can come in and say, hey, we need to go on more appointments, right? Or, we can track some of these numbers here, and I can look, I won't mention the names, but for example, these are actually getting a good bit better. But back at the first week, right? If we spend 20 hours generating leads, we should have more than 30 contacts. Does that make sense? If we spend 3 hours generating leads, we should have more than 5 contacts. Does that make sense?
So my numbers are going to be skewed for a bit because I'm counting database cleanup and like all of that as lead gen. So I'm not necessarily.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But I haven't added it in yet. So my numbers aren't going to make sense right now.
Right. And I hear that. It'll all work out in the end. My goal is when I see somebody's numbers and it creates some cause for concern, then yes.
Could you meet me? Could you make me pasta?
Okay. Does that make sense, you guys? Guys, 1 second, okay? 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna take like a 5-minute break, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. If you'd like to, we'll be here at the launch meeting, and we can go into a little bit more detail about this, and maybe we can even create some for you guys. Make sure that you leave with some targets, right? This person knows that if they hit 4 appointments a month, they're going to be on goal. So the next most important thing is, where am I going to allocate? How much time is that going to require? And what hours is that going to be in? Does that make sense? That's where the 4-on-1 and 1-5 come in. And of course, that's where the 100%. Okay, thanks for bearing with me, you guys.